Hey friends, I'm back with another video, and this is going to be a continuation right where I left off in my Everquest guide for beginners. As you see, I haven't really changed. I'm still level 2 here with Fezzle Wicked. Of course, I have some bags and things like that to help myself along. You will not be starting with bags or any equipment at all, but I'm going to show you how to acquire some. So if you follow this guide, you'll be good. You'll be doing just fine. You could always start off by hailing Arius here, and hail is the catch-all greeting in the game where you say hail instead of saying hello. So to hail someone, you press H on your keyboard. And as you see here, he reacted, and we've got an information window that opened up, which this window will not open up very often. This is more in line with the tutorial to give you information in case it doesn't come up here in the chat. But if you open up your chat tab, which I have multiple tabs here, and this one to the far right is the local chat. It says, "We found the other slaves." Not bad, my friend. Not bad. No matter what happens in the mines, what happens in the mines stays in the mines. That's not in there. I'm ad-libbing. You should always be able to find your way back here. If you seek allies in other instances of these mines, I can send you there if you wish. So if you click wish, it will see if there's any other instances of the Glooming Deep mines, and he would teleport you there. Because sometimes when a zone is very crowded, say if there was 50 plus people in one zone, Everquest automatically creates a second version of that zone that is empty for people to populate. So say you planned on grouping up and teaming up with a friend or a sibling or a spouse or something, and maybe if they don't live with you, or they're on another computer that's using a VPN that looks like they're in a different place, they might, or even from the same house, they might end up in a different instance. So you can always move from one instance to another. There is a command actually that can also help you to travel from one instance to another, and that is /pick. So if you type in /PICK and hit enter, it would show you if there were multiple picks. It would show you different options. And here you'll see where I put in the command, and we've got this prompt at the bottom. Type /pick to see list of all available pick zones of the mines of Glooming Deep. More pick zones will become available automatically as they fill up with adventurers. This is the only instance of the zone available. So that will tell you right there if there are other picks or not. And sometimes what it might do is it'll show that there's, pick number 1, pick number 2, pick number 3. So you might do /pick2, /pick 3, and a lot of times in parentheses it will show the population of each pick. So if you want to go to the one that has the largest population, then that's what you could do. And sometimes it's beneficial to go where all the people are, because it might be easier sometimes to find someone to group with. If you go to a pick zone where there's only 1 or 2 other people, and they might be greatly different level than you, then you're going to have a harder time to find a group. So that's enough of that. Remember, to move, you can press ASWD, W to go forward, D or S to go backwards, D is right, A is left. Also, you can use your arrow keys on your keyboard. They do exactly the same function. Another way to move forward is if you have a mouse, which you should. To play this game, I'd like to emphasize very, very strongly that you have a mouse. Playing this on a laptop with one of those little flat pads, you're never going to enjoy it. You're never going to get used to it. It's going to suck. Your whole experience is going to be horrible because you have so much more control with a mouse. So if you don't have a mouse on your laptop, just buy one. They have those with the little USB dongle that you stick in your laptop, and then you have your mouse, and your whole experience is going to be so much better. Because, for example, like me just being able to look around without the arrow keys, because you see I can look up and I can smoothly look down. Maybe not smoothly, because maybe my graphics card isn't as good as it used to be, because it's seen some stuff, man. It's just so much smoother. And what I'm doing is I'm holding the right mouse button and I'm scrolling around with my mouse. I'm just turning left, right, up, down. And if I want to move forward, for example, just with the mouse, if I hold the right and left button on the mouse, I move forward, and I can turn just by turning the mouse. So you see, this can be a nice way to navigate a dungeon or travel or whatever. But likewise, I can also just hold the right mouse button to use the mouse look and then move with the keys, and that gives me even greater control because I'm using both hands to sort of maneuver around. So I hope this helps you as far as getting around. And here we have water, and water can be treacherous because you can drown in it. So say you run into the water by mistake. When you do, you'll see right here there's an air gauge that appears. Now it might not appear to the upper right like I have it, because I've made sure everything was like neat and organized here on my UI, so it's all easy to find. And it's something that you might have to look for it. You might have to look. Your air gauge might be over here, it might be over here, it could be anywhere. So find it and then you can move it. You can left click on it and move it. And you see I'm slowly running out of air. What happens when I run out of air? I die. So let's get out of the water here. Also, swimming is a skill like a lot of other things. And you see here, as I was swimming, my swimming skill went up. It's at 6 now. You start off with a swimming skill of, I think, 0. It's either 0 or 1. So you're a very poor swimmer in the very beginning of the game. So that is swimming. So let's try to hail some folks and get some quests, okay? So here's the first one. Valara over here, the cat lady. Let's hail them. Remember H? And we hail them, and look, there's something on our cursor now. You see this little thing? It sort of looks like a cloth sleeve. Well, that is a cloth sleeve. So to use it, you would press I in your inventory. I opens up the inventory window, and you can drop it here in the middle. And anything you drop here in this middle box will go automatically where it belongs. Now, if there was already a sleeve there, then you might, and you drop it, it'll end up in one of your bags. And you might want to check the sleeve. To check to see what the stats are, you can hold the mouse over it and right click, and you hold the button, and you can see here, this is called a Glooming Deep Cobalt Cloth Sleeve, and that's the stats that you get from it. And here they're giving us a quest. It says equipping armor. This pretty much covers what I just said, how to equip it. So we're going to just close that. We're also going to look here in the chat, because remember I hailed her, and they say, I'm glad you managed to escape the slave warrens in one piece. There are many others who were not as lucky. Here, take this armor we found on a kobold. Ew, it was on a dead kobold? It's not much, but it will keep you safe. So there we go. And you see the word others is emphasized. It's light blue in brackets. So if you left click that, you will get a quest. And for some reason it's not working because I'm not, and it's not working because I wasn't clicking on the right person. So that's actually good to show you. So to make sure, if you try to click on somebody and the quest isn't working, you're not getting anything, look to see what you're clicking on. And I was clicking on a hired ECAV, which is my mercenary. So let's click on them. Make sure their name is showing up in your target window over here, because that shows who you're targeting. You'll also see that their name is sort of like glowing. If I remove the target from them, their name is no longer glowing. So I do that, and then I hail them again, and then I can hit others and see now I got the prompt, and now I'll have the quest. It says we have many wounded and they need bandages. I think this quest actually doesn't show up in the quest window. If you find any Glooming Deep Silk, bring it to me. I can make more bandages. I'll reward you. Okay, so there we go. That's what they say. If we bring them bandages, they'll reward us. Next, we go over here to Poxton, who teaches you swimming, which we already covered, but we'll talk to him anyway, because talking to each of these NPCs will give us a reward in the end. And he basically tells you what I just said. about swimming, and he wants you to find his sword in the water. So we'll go down here, and again, this is a quest that doesn't show up in the quest window, and you'll find a lot of quests like that. So here, we picked up his sword by left clicking on it, and now it's on our cursor. So let's come out of the water, and we want to give him his sword. How do we do that? Well, we take the sword, and say the sword ended up in your inventory. You open up your bag by left clicking first. Remember, inventory, you press I to open and close the inventory. You right click on a bag to open the bag. Then you left click and you have the sword on your cursor, and you right click or you left click on Poxin, which is this gnome's name, to drop it on him. Once you drop it on him, you'll see the window. You can confirm the name is correct, Poxin. You're not accidentally giving it to someone else, which I have done, and trust me, it can be a humiliating experience. And then you hit give, and see, now it says task stage completed, and we've got a reward here. And this is a leather mask, but I already have something that I liked better, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to destroy it. And this demonstrates how to destroy something. Again, you can right click to see if it's better than what you have, and what I have is currently better. So you can pick it up and you go to this button that says destroy, and you left click, and now that item has been destroyed. It's gone. And there are some items that you don't want to destroy because you can sell them, but we'll get to that point. Here's another quest NPC. Don't let their intimidating look fool you. They're actually quite friendly. You hail them and they will talk to you. It says, most important part of battle is preparation. You're going to get killed out there if you don't. That's the first thing you need to learn. I can show you. And here we go. It says Hotbars. So this NPC will teach you how Hotbars work. And this is a quest that actually shows up in your window. And it says talk to Alga, learn about managing abilities. So again, we want to talk to them, hail, and we get all this information in this hotbar, and you just want to read through, and each time you hit OK, it will give you some new information and how to make new hotbars and cycle through different things. For example, to make a new hotbar, we would click on the EQ button that we have here on the bottom left, but depending on where you put your hotbar, or if you even adjusted anything in your UI, it might not appear here. It might appear up here on the right. But then we go over here and we go to hotkeys, and we can click on number 3 here to open up another hotbar, which I don't know. I guess I already have it. No, I don't. So see it. Unfortunately, sometimes it will open up underneath one of the other ones, so you might have to move things around to find it, because you see the two of them were overlapping, and had I not moved the one, I wouldn't have found that other one. So if I want a third hotbar there, I can have a third hotbar. If I want to get rid of it, I can right click, and I could go to Windows, and then I can go here to close, and it's gone. So that's a way to open and close Windows, is you can go over here to the EQ button, and then go to hotkeys and select different hotkey windows. And once you've completed this quest and you've read everything, you get a small reward, which is a warn totem. And here is where you would select the reward. Sometimes you want to pay attention to this. Sometimes you have different choices, like multiple choice, and you can click the choices that you get. But here, there's only the single option. So select, and this is what everybody likes to call a clicky effect. So here is the totem, and we can make a hot button of anything in our inventory by left click and hold. You hold it until the button appears on your cursor, and then you could bring it down here and left click in an empty slot, and there you have it. We've made a button. And also you can inspect something by moving the mouse over it and right click, and see here we have an image of the item, and it tells you what it does. It says effect, blessing of swiftness, which means it basically increases your run speed for a short time. We could try it out, but we already have a run speed buff. See, that's basically what it would do. It would sort of cast a spell, and you would run a little bit faster for about 5 minutes, and then it would wear off, and then you would be able to cast it again in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Here's another quest NPC. We can hail him. I know he just looks like a little tiny dragon, but if you hail him, he'll talk to you, and he says something about his siblings, and you're supposed to find his siblings, which they just look like little tiny dragon eggs. And then once you find them, you bring it back to him. Here is Rashir over here. Rashir over here. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to make it rhyme. He is a Soulbinder. What is a Soulbinder? They are an NPC that can bind your soul to a location. And what that means is when you go out and fight something and you're defeated, you die, you will re-pop or reappear in your last bind location. So we're gonna bind here. We're gonna hail him and you get some information. Rashir is a Soulbinder, which I already mentioned. So I'm gonna just click through some of this stuff. It doesn't need to be repetitive. And he talks to you and he says, bind my soul. So you can click on that and it says task stage completed and your soul is bound. If you want to know where you're bound, like you don't remember because maybe you took a break and you came back, you want to find out where is my soul bound, you can type in /CHAR, which is short for character info, and press enter. And here you see origin location, Crescent Reach, bind points, the Mines of Glooming Deep, and Crescent Reach. So we are bound both in the Mines of Glooming Deep and Crescent Reach. And Crescent Reach is our origin location. So if we use a skill called Origin, that's where we end up. But if we just die and respawn, we will respawn here. And once you would leave the Mines of Glooming Deep, like you're done with it, and you don't want to end up back here, which trust me, you don't at higher levels, because you just get booted out for being too high a level, you're going to want to find another Soulbinder somewhere else. Or if you are a caster, you actually get a spell called Bind Affinity. And Bind Affinity lets you bind yourself or others to any specific location. And there are some locations where you can bind others, and then there's some where you're not allowed to. Like you can't bind your warrior friends in the middle of a dungeon. You can only bind other players in major cities most of the time. Or there are some camps that are considered relatively safe where you're allowed to bind someone. This one NPC talks about grouping and communication, so we will hail them. And they just cover all the different forms of communication, like /shout, /OOC. And here's a side note about the OOC command, which is considered out of character. On the Coronavi server, this does not exist. There is no out of character. But shout does exist, and shout is a command that would let you communicate to the whole zone. There's also commands about channels and joining a channel. A channel is like just another form of communication. One example is my guild chat channel. To find out what channels you're on, you can type the command /list and press enter. Here you see the channels I'm a member of are new players and necromancer. Let's say I want to join channel chaos, which is the official chat channel of my guild. I would type in /join chaos. And again, this channel is only active at all on the Coronavi server where we live. And now it'll show the channels that you're a part of, which is, again, new players, necromancer, and chaos. Let's say you want to make sure you join the chaos channel every time you log in, because if you just type in /join chaos, you're only in that channel until you log out and log back in. So let's make sure we always join chaos. /auto join chaos. Now every time you log in, you will join chaos. And you can even add other channels to that. You could join the general chat and stuff like that. Here's a note also. If you are a free-to-play player, you will not be able to join custom channels. You're only going to be able to be in the new players channel and maybe the necromancer channel if you're a necromancer. If you're a paladin, you would be in the paladin channel. If you are a warrior, you would be in the warrior channel, and so on. We move on to the next NPC. Here is Merc Liaison. We hail them, and they teach us about mercenaries and how they work and how to hire them. We hit accept to accept this quest, and you see it appear here in the quest window. To open and close the quest window, because it's so big you don't want to keep it open, you press Alt Q for quest. At least That's what it is on mine. You can always find out, maybe Alt Q doesn't open and close your quest window. You can press Alt O for options, and it should be options Alt O for everybody. So then you can press the keys tab up here, and you can look under commands to try to find out what opens the quest window. Although I think this is actually under UI for user interface, and you would probably scroll all the way down to find anything under the letter Q, or it might be under T for toggle. If you tried UI and you tried other commands and you still can't find it, go to the bottom where it says all, and then you should be able to find it, and it shows just about everything you could possibly have, every command. And after taking some time to try to find it, I can't find it. So that just goes to show Fezzelwig doesn't know everything, and I'm fine with that. If you find it, feel free to leave a comment below, because honestly, it's completely frustrating to me. So now that we got this quest, let's hail him and get their information. It says task stage complete, and we can read all this stuff, which I advise you to do so, unless you just want to take my word for everything, which is fine too, because it might be a little faster. Maybe you read way faster than I do. So here we go. To buy a mercenary, you right click on this guy, okay? Right click on him. And if you're free to play, you only have access to apprentice mercenaries. If you have paid for a gold account, you can select journeyman mercenaries. I would like to heavily advise any player who has access to a journeyman mercenary to buy a journeyman mercenary. Do not buy the apprentice one if you don't have to. The apprentice ones are terrible. That being said, free-to-play players, if you have to buy a mercenary and you only have apprentice available, then buy it, because it is still better than having no mercenary at all. Honestly, they can still help you. They're just not quite as good as the journeyman ones. So you have two options here. You have healer or you have tank. And the same with journeyman, you have healer or you have tank. I would kind of say get a tank or get a healer. It's really up to you. I already have mercenaries, so I got no more empty slots. I have a tank, I have a caster, I have a melee damage, and I have a healer. So since I already bought my mercenary, let's go kill that kobold infiltrator like it said in the quest. And here's where we cross this little bridge here, and over here you see these spell merchants. So if you need spells, this is where you would go. And I would need the necromancer spells. So they're over here on this gnome. So I would right click on him and I can scroll down here to see the different spells. Now I have some money. You're not going to start out with any money, so you might have to come back to him later. But since I do have some money, I'll buy my spells now just to show you how to buy spells. So you're seeing me buy these spells and I'm not doing a whole lot of stuff. If you just click on a spell and then you press buy, you will see this window, and most of the time you're just going to want to buy a single spell. But if there was an item that you needed, like say it was food that you were buying and you wanted a full stack, you can scroll this bar to buy as many as you want, or you can click in this window and then you can press how many you want instead. Another way of making sure you just buy one item or a full stack is if you just want one spell, you can hold the control key and then press buy, and instead of getting that window, you just automatically buy a single spell. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm left click on the spell I want to buy, I hold control and I hit buy. Now if you wanted a whole stack of something like food or whatever, instead you could hold the shift key when you hit buy, and that would have you purchase a whole stack. So I'm level 2, I bought spells up to level 2, and then I'm going to close this window. I'm going to open up my inventory, and then I'm going to memorize all the spells. There's a couple of different ways to memorize your spells. One, you can go down here to your spell bar, which is this. You can left click on the book, and then you can left click on a spell. You can drag it into your spell book, into one of these little squares, and left click onto the empty slot, and there we go, we memorized the spell. And there's a quicker way to do this. So let's say we're standing up and we want to memorize a spell. If we just right click on a spell, As long as we are the appropriate level, it will automatically be scribed into our book. And if you are on a different server, there could be a chance where scribing your spells is going to be more time consuming than this. So if it's taking longer, then don't feel bad. It's just the server that you chose. Maybe has some different rules. So here we go. We have some of our spells. Now I'd like to kind of start fresh on the spell bar, so I want to clear all these spells out. So to clear out a spell, you can right click on it, and now my spell bar is completely empty. And what I like to do is I like to take my buff spells, which a buff spell is like a beneficial spell, a spell that will make you buff, which is exactly what it sounds. It's like it makes you appear stronger. It might give you more hit points, more strength, more stamina. It might make you run faster. It might make you attack faster. It might make you heal or regain your mana faster. Mana is your spell ability. You use mana points to cast your spells, and if you're out of mana points, you can't cast spells. So we're going to left click on the shielding, we're going to drag it down here to the bottom, and we're going to put that one on the bottom. And here, this is a lot slower. You see how slow that little load bar is going? Unfortunately, that's how it is. Then we want to take life spike. I'm put life spike here on the second slot. And again, this is going to be slow and time consuming, unfortunately. And then I'm going to take disease cloud and I'm going to put that on the top. And there it is. You see the bars loading. So it's just a matter of being a little bit patient. Here is cavorting bones. If you want to know what a spell does, by the way, right click and hold. You'll get a little window that pops up that explains everything. And feel fortunate that you're playing Everquest now, because back in the day when Everquest was brand new, there wasn't a single spell that told you a damn thing about what it did or what it was, and you had to either guess or ask someone else. And for example, this one, it's a level 1 spell. It uses skill conjuration. It uses 15 mana points to cast. Cast time is 5 seconds. Target self, duration instant. Animates an undead servant from the remnants of the fallen. Consumes bone chips when cast. Now, you'll see this on some spells where it says it consumes something when you cast a spell. That means I need to have bone chips on me in order to cast this spell. So let's put this spell here. And you don't always need to scribe every spell that you have. These 4 are the most useful right now, so we're going to stick to them. And then I'm going to close the spell book. You can either just stand up or you can press X to leave your spell book. Now we're going to move on here to the Kobold Infiltrator, and I'm going to fight him. Now, honestly, I have a couple of bone chips on me that I got. I'm going to show you how to call your pet. Left click on a spell in your spell bar to trigger the spell. Another way to trigger a spell is if you hold the Alt key, and you see whenever I press Alt, it shows the spell names in each slot and the number. So if I wanted to press shielding, for example, and I hold Alt and I press the 8 key, I cast my shielding spell. So that's another shortcut for casting spells. A lot of times when I want to attack, I'll press the Alt key and maybe Disease Cloud or Life Spike. You'll see a new window has appeared. This is the pet window. You can left click and hold here on the bar to move it around. And I like to keep my pets over here. You can also readjust the size of this window like this. You just go up to the edge until you see that double arrow, and you can slide it and then move it around to your liking. You can even lock a window. If you're happy with a window and the size that it is and everything, you can right click and then you can go to lock. And if you click on lock, you'll no longer be able to manipulate this window until you right click again and select lock again to unlock the window, in which case you can move it and adjust it again. So as you see, because we summoned our pet, we have here a skeleton pet that will help us in our fight. If we want to, we can attack this guy ourselves, or as you see, we have an attack button. where we can tell our pet to attack this guy for us. So let's try that first. We'll tell the pet to attack. And you see now he's taking swings at this guy. But we can also join in to help our pet. That way he has double the chance of success. To attack, we can go here to the actions window and we can click on melee attack. And as you see, now I'm using this thing that looks like a sword to stab the kobold. He's pretty strong, as you could see. We're not doing a whole lot of damage to him. So let's try to cast a spell too. And by using all these different attacks, our pet, our weapon, and spells, we do that much more damage and we kill him that much quicker. And here we got a quest update, Mercenary Upkeep. Mercenaries do require that you pay an upkeep. You can find out what the upkeep is here in the mercenary window when you click on info. And here it says purchase price NA, which is not applicable. Why? Because we are a newbie. We're a level 2. So we don't have to pay anything. The mercenary is free. Upkeep also not applicable. The mercenary is currently free, even the upkeep. But at higher levels, mercenaries will demand regular pay. So after every 15 minutes or so, you will have to pay the mercenary a certain amount of platinum. We're going to kill one more of these, even though we only had to kill one to complete the quest. And I'm going to show you a different way to attack. This is something I would call pulling. Pulling is where you want to drag a monster away from their companions, because you see there's another kobold over there. And I don't want to risk the chance that he might help his friend out and the two of them gang up on me at the same time. That makes the fight so much harder for me. So you can left click on a guy and then you can cast a spell on them, or use a bow and arrow or even a thrown weapon to get their attention. Normally the monster would come running at me, but because this is a special quest monster, they just stand there, which kind of sucks for this demonstration. So let's go up there and beat them up. I didn't know that they did that. I didn't know that they were completely immobilized and unable to move. That is funny, but I guess that's something they did to make things easier for new players. How thoughtful. Oh, by the way, I want to go back here after memorizing all my spells that I had purchased, and I'm gonna buy a few more in advance, expecting that I will hit level 3. Oh, here's another spell that I missed called Siphon Strength. So let's grab that one. I'm gonna memorize that one, and then I'm gonna go down to see the higher level spells. Level 3, buy some of those. And your spells at this level, they cost very little. They're not very expensive. So they're relatively easy to get. And I'm going to show you how to acquire some money to buy your spells rather quickly. Because the great thing about playing the tutorial is that it's a virtual gold mine. There's easy, fast ways of getting some money for your character very quickly. Now, if you have plenty of bag space, you can do this. If you don't have plenty of bag space, then I advise you to buy only the 1 or 2 levels ahead of your spells, because you'll run out of room. So we finished the quest with the mercenary. Let's return to this guy, the Merc liaison, and hail them and tell them that we succeeded. And there we go, we completed the task Mercenary for Hire. Next we're going to go to Absol over here. He will teach us about weapons. We can hail them. And he says, Absol is a weapon maker. You should already have a weapon equipped from your escape with Arias, but Absol will make it better. Open your inventory and remove your weapon from the lower left slot. This is your primary weapon slot, where you hold weapons at that you are currently using. So we're going to open our inventory by pressing I. And this weapon has a augment. So we're going to take the augment out, which if you do have an augment, you want to take it out before giving it to this guy. Also, this weapon is not our newbie weapon, so we actually can't give it to this guy. I gotta go find where I put my newbie weapon. Hopefully it's sitting here in the bank. Yes, you can see I've been very naughty. I stocked myself up with a bunch of different weapons. So I currently don't have a weapon, but if I did, because I can't give him this one, he won't be able to do anything with it. But I will show you, if for example, if you mistakenly deleted your weapon or something, I'll show you how to get around this little quest faux pas that I've created for myself. So we will come back to Absor later, and then we're going to go over here to Zaneda, and we're going to hail them, and they're going to teach us how to use maps. And they say press the M key. Well, the M key opens up my map. I've also bound my backspace key to it, but M also works to open and close maps. And you see on the maps, you could zoom in to show where you are by using the mouse wheel. And this person is asking us to get her some mushrooms. So we see here mushrooms on the map, and then we see we are the bright green over here, and you see the arrow. When I spin, it spins, and we want to go over here where it says mushrooms. You see that? And if we look on the ground, there we go, we found the mushroom. There's also a mushroom in that barrel, so you can either get it from the ground or get it from the barrel. And then we can go back to where she is, which I don't really need the map. I know she's over by that giant still. So here we go, and we left click on her to give her the mushroom. Again, we can confirm the name that is correct. We press give, and we completed that stage. Next, we move to Scribe Farguard. Farguard? Yeah. We hail them, and they're going to teach us about the hero's journey. Hit accept, we can close that, and then we can hit hail to talk to them. And this guy provides a ton of information about the hero's journey and how it works. This is really useful for new players. It's sort of a guide, and you can click on each of these things and it will give you some information and how to get your different quests. And I think one of the best ones is the hero's journey, and you go to progression, and once you have left this zone and you go to Crescent Reach, that's where it's going to become useful. Unfortunately, there really is no hero's journey path here in the Mines of Glooming Deep. And if this happens to you where it looks like there are words on top of each other, you can stretch out this window to fix that problem. See, now it doesn't look like the words are on top of each other anymore. Okay, so we're gonna sort of skip through this because I'm gonna cover it later in another video. So we could just hit OK on everything, and it says achievement completed, and he offers you a reward. You can either gain some experience or you can gain some silver. Since we, usually don't start off with any money at all, you might want the money because it's easy to get experience. You just go around killing things and completing quests. Here is Wijdan. He's a merchant. We can hail him, and he sort of explains his whole story and stage completed. And see, he even says, wait. Lower your weapon. Wijdan whimpers, throwing his hands up in front of his face. Listen, I'm a merchant, and my lead competitor is just invested in the slave trade. I want you all to revolt. Smash the place up. Pillage this mine to the last copper. Just bring me the loot before you escape. I can buy it from you. There could be much profit for both of us. So this guy's sort of betraying his own people because these are the kobolds. These are the bad guys. But he's like a good one, I guess. Or he's just, looking for profit. So anytime you get some kind of loot, something you want to sell, you can come to this guy and sell it. One example is I do have some crude Defiant leather boots, which a necromancer cannot use leather. So we can left click on that, and then we can click sell, and we get 1 platinum, 2 gold for it. And then you would have money to purchase other things if you wanted to from this guy, or sell things to him. I wouldn't suggest buying any armor from this guy that you see, because you're going to find a whole set of armor soon enough. Then we have the banker. Banker is pretty easy. You can left click on him, hail him. He also gives you a little bit of information, and he's basically going to tell you what I'm telling you now. You right click on him to open up your bank. And if you're worried about losing some of the money that you have, you can hold shift, left click, take all your platinum, you can deposit it in the bank, which this could be useful if you're ever on a PvP server, because I think people can still loot your money, I'm not sure. And maybe you just want to keep some of your money. So you can click on it, you can go to like the halfway mark here, hit accept. Now you have half of the money on you, half of it saved up in the bank, which could always be a good idea too. You don't always need to have all your money on you. You could put some of it in the bank. A bank is a place where you could store bags. If any new player, this bank is going to be completely empty except for 2 bags. There's going to be 2 free bags in there, or usually, that you can use. You can pick them up and put them in your inventory to help you carry stuff. And then once you found better bags, you could put those bags back in the bank instead. There's also the shared bank. The shared bank is additional bank space where you can put things that are shared between all the different characters on that same account. So let's say I find some warrior armor and I made a warrior on the same account. Well, I can access the bank, I can open it up, I could drop that warrior armor in one of these shared bank slots. Then I log out, I log back in with my warrior, and I open up that slot and I see, hey, there's the armor that I left for myself. So it makes trading with yourself easier. Next we go to Raitan, spells. He gives you information about spells. We hail him by pressing H and he talks to us, and you could just click on the word blessed and you see he cast a spell on us, which is a buff spell. It gives us extra health and armor class. Then we can He also gave us a spell. I'm going to open up my inventory and put the spell in here and see what it is. I think I already bought this, Siphon Strength. I can right click on it to scribe it, but I think I already scribed it. Yeah, it's already been scribed. So maybe you want to buy your spells after you get whatever spell he gives you for free. Next, we'll move to Guard Viren Beginner's Missions. We'll hail them. Spider Caves, we can accept. It's asking you to, what is he asking me to do? Oh, we want to loot 4 Glooming Deep Cocoon Silk. Then we want to hail this guy, and he says clearing the vermin nest, so we'll accept that one too. And then once we've done all of these, we would go back to Arias and hail him, but I don't think it's going to work because remember, there was that one guy where we couldn't complete the quest. So I'm going to run through some of the basics here. Combat, here's a rat. Left click on him, we can hit auto attack, and if you want an easy way to do auto attack, you can go to your actions window, you can left click, you can move this over, and you can drop it here anywhere you want to have an easy way to auto attack. But I'm going to show you a different way as well. Here are things that dropped off the rat. There's raw stiff hide, a rat paw, and rat ears. If you want to loot it, the easiest way would be to just click on the green arrows, but there's a more efficient way. If you click on AG, always green, that means you loot this every time, so you don't have to go through all these different steps each time. So I'm going to hit AG, click on AG for each of these, and every time I come across these items in the future, I will loot them. There's also a way to choose to never loot these things, which you would click on never if you never wanted to loot it. But when you're a newbie, I would suggest looting just about everything because you will be able to sell those items to get a little bit more money to buy more spells and equipment. So after killing another guy, we got a level. So now we are level 3. Here we can sit down, we can open up our spell book and try to memorize our level 3 spells because we want to make sure we open up that inventory because it's taking up inventory space in our bags to make room for the stuff we're picking up. So there we go. We got those 2 spells. Now I'm going to show you how to make a more efficient attack button. Under actions here, I'm going to move this over because I know that my image is there in the corner and it's covering up this window. So let's have this window here for the rest of this tutorial. I'm sorry that it was hidden for a bit. We're going to click on the socials tab here in the actions, and then we're going to click on the arrow to go to number 2, and we're going to make a button. You go to one of these empty buttons, you right click on it, and I'm going to call this one attack, and I'm going to make sure that I color this yellow so it's bright and sort of a warning color. You can also color it red if you want to, but I like yellow. With the dark background, it really stands out. And here I'm going to type in a couple of commands, and you can either do this or not. It's all up to you. I'm going to type in /attack off, then I'm going to type in /do ability 1 /pet q attack, and I'm going to type in /attack on. Now I'm going to press accept, and you see now I have this button, and I'm going to take this button by left clicking and holding until it pops on my cursor, and I'm going to replace this melee attack button. Also, there are things in here where you can open them, like barrels and stuff, to get what's inside. So we're going to go here to regular abilities page, and here I'm going to click on number 1, and I'm going to choose this begging skill to put here. And then for the second slot, I'm going to choose open. I'm going to take this open ability and I'm going to bring it here, and I'm going to put it here in slot 3. And this begging ability in slot 1 here, well, that's a reference to this button that we made where it says do ability 1. So when I'm fighting and I click this button, I'm going to try to beg for money from whatever it is I'm attacking. And it's just a skill that I like to work on. This part, this do ability 1, is completely optional. You can ignore it. You can just go to pet attack instead, and that's it. And then click accept once you're happy with your selections. So here is one of the vermin nests that we need to destroy, and we can either go up to it and attack it, but it's really inefficient and it takes a really long time. So what's better is click on it and use the open key. There we go. It opened and we got whatever was inside. Now we can attack this bat. Here's a rat. These things are all really easy. You don't have to be really afraid of them. It's going to be almost impossible for you to fail and not kill them, you know, for them to be able to kill you instead. And if you're wondering how to see your own appearance, you can use the mouse wheel to scroll forward and backward. So if you rather see yourself, you can do that. You can scroll back on the mouse wheel so you can see yourself, which I like to do because at higher levels it's pretty useful, because you could see if something is trying to sneak up on you. And you see, as you get more comfortable, more confident, you're going to be able to go through all these steps so much faster and just blow through things. There is another command that you can add to your attack button that we made, which will let you see that the button was pressed, because if you see here, when we press it, there's no visible way to see that the button was pressed. So let's right click, and we're going to click here in the very beginning of this key. We're going to put in /timer space 5 and then comma, because we want to separate the timer from the attack off command. And then we're going to hit accept. Now, whenever I hit that button, let's go find something to kill again. You're going to see it be pressed. Watch. See, it turned red for a second. So depending on the timer that you put, I put 5 seconds. You could change it to 10 seconds or whatever, so it's even more visible that it's been pressed. So also here is another quest guy. So we can come up to him, we can hail him, and he teaches us about augmentations. Hail. Okay, now here is where having a tabbed window can be a problem at times. I'm expecting him to say something and I'm like, why isn't he saying anything? That's because I have the say commands over here. So if that happens to you, make sure you're on the right tab. So here we go. He says something about, what's that? You want to learn about augmentations? You say, I guess I can give you some quick lessons. Lessons is highlighted, so click on lessons. And then you could just say, I'm listening. And then he gives you something. You got this little stone. And what you do with the little stone is you open up your inventory. You go to your weapon by right clicking on it. And then you see this is highlighted in gold. It's highlighted in gold because it's letting you know you can put your augment in there. And when you click there, this other window opens up that says, are you sure you want to insert the steelite fragment augmentation into Valium Dagger? Yes. And the reason why it asks you for confirmation is once it's in there, you can't take it out. If you right click, it says remove or destroy, but you can't remove it without buying an augment distiller. But if you just want to destroy it, well, you can do that for free. And what is this little stone that we put in our weapon do? It causes an extra 2 points of bane damage versus kobolds. So anytime you're fighting a kobold, your weapon goes from 820 to 1020, which means it does 10 points of damage instead of just the 8. Once you've done that, you can click on those to close and finish the information or read it. And then you hail him again to complete the quest. And now you see the quest has left the window. And here's another piece of information. Let's say you found a better weapon, but you still want to use this augment. I'm going to destroy this augment to show you what happens if you no longer have it. If you got rid of your augment, again, by losing your weapon or destroying it or whatever, or you found a better weapon that you'd like to put that augment. Well, then, destroy the old augment, hail him, you get a new one. See, he's given me a new one. It's on my cursor, and then I can re-add that to my new weapon. That is better. So that's a little way for this particular augment on this particular guy where you can get a second one for free. Here are the barrels that I mentioned. If you see a barrel and you left click and it looks like it has health, that means that it's still full. So you walk up to it, you click on the open button, and you see how the lid popped off? That means you opened it, but there was nothing inside. So let's open this one. Okay, this one has something inside. You could tell by the loot window. And the arrows are good to loot because they're part of a quest. So let's left click on that, and now we looted it, and we're going to loot it every time we come across another one. Here's another barrel. Let's open this one. This one had an arrow and food and water, so we want to loot those too. Going to hit always greed on them, so we always loot them. So I feel like I've covered enough in this video. I plan to do a part 3 later on. I hope this video helped you. Keep in mind, I'm making this one for a complete 100% new player, someone who's never played before, and I'm creating a playlist that this video will go into. It will be for completely new players, covering everything from game installation to how some of the commands work, how combat works, and covering some of the basics. And then I'll actually get into some real gameplay with this character, trying to play more or less like a newbie, even though I couldn't resist to give myself a few perks, like having this cool healer mercenary that looks like a snake lady, or giving myself some basic equipment. If you found this video useful and or informative, or at the very least entertaining, give the video a thumbs up. If you disliked the video and felt like I could have done a much better job, you can give it a thumbs down. If you give it a thumbs down or a thumbs up, you can leave a comment saying what you liked or disliked about the video, what you might have done to make the video better. If you like what I do here and you want to support me and support the channel, consider subscribing if you haven't already subscribed. You can also leave a super thanks to thank me for the video. You can also join the channel as a channel member. Channel members get special perks and privileges, like a link to join our private Discord server. You'll also find links to my other social media sites in the description below, including my Patreon, where Patreon members also get a link to join our private Discord server. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a great day and a wonderful tomorrow.